Welcome back to UMass Sports Weekly, and I've been waiting to say these words for a very long time. We are here to talk some hockey. It's great. It's great to have it back. I'm here with Chris Potomatis and Tony Bolduc. So we're going to start off first. Got to mention the lockout. You know, it was a real hurt on the season. So, you know, these teams aren't playing the full season that they're always used to playing. Tony, I'll start with you. How do you see this lockout affecting teams as the season starts, and how do you think it'll affect teams in the long run as well?
I mean, definitely affecting the teams in the start that haven't really played much together because there was no preseason, and you can tell from the teams that are succeeding are mostly teams that have lines that are returning and like returning players that know each other, know how to play each other. And in the long run, it could hurt teams because a playoff team might not make it because there wasn't enough games to be played to prove that they were better than another team. And points are definitely at a minimum right now. There's only 48 games this season, so most teams have played 6, so they're already an eighth of the way through the season. That's insane. I mean, teams are going to have to prove themselves and prove themselves quickly, or they're not going to be a playoff team, and that can definitely hurt them.
Mm-hmm. Chris, what do you see with this lockout?
I think like every game right now is just so important for every team. It's like every point, every goal matters right now. It's like, 48-game season, that's like a half of the season. You think halfway through any regular season in the sport, almost every team is in playoff contention. That's how it's going to be this year. Like almost every team is going to be in it. And you see like right now, a lot of teams are starting their number one goalies a lot more than usual because they can't afford to have their number two goalies out there until they lose a game because you never know what game will hurt them. All games this year are inter-conference and inter-division. So every time you lose to a team, you lose to a team that you could be fighting, for a 5 seed, a 6 seed, and that really could make a big difference. And also last night, like in the Bruins-Hurricanes game, you saw the teams in the third period. They were always playing defensive when they were tied because they wanted to get to overtime to secure a point, knowing that, all right, you know what? If we can get at least 1 point out of this game, that's at least something. Instead of trying to win maybe and go for it all, they were saying, all right, you know what? Let's try to get at least 1 point out of it and kind of walk away. Obviously, it didn't work for the Hurricanes last night, but there's definitely an emphasis on points and winning early, and teams are trying to go all out right now.
I agree. I think that's something you're going to see a lot of is people not worried more so about the win, but more worried about the loss. They want to get that point. And the third period is very true. You get a 3-3 game. It seemed like it was back and forth the entire time. You get to the third period and the action just died down. It was, so that's. I think we will see a lot of that, and that'll definitely be a big effect from the lockout because of the shortened season. So to stay on the Bruins, we're homers around here. Got to talk about the Bruins. Off to a great start, 4-0-1. Look really sharp. Chris, what do you think so far with what they've done, how they started, and how do you expect them to continue on throughout the season?
I think they've looked pretty good so far. A lot of their players played overseas, so that they don't have that rust that you may have expected, conditioning, stuff like that. And one of their key players that didn't play overseas is Lucic, and he's been having a very good year so far. 2 goals, 1 assist, +4 rating, and already has 2 fights. And physically, he's getting really involved. He's pounding guys, and he's breaking up plays, getting loose pucks, keeping the puck in the offensive zone, which is great to see because Lucic is one of those like streaky players where some games he's there, some games he's not. But when he's playing well, when he's playing hard, I think he's been really good. But overall, Tuukka started 4 of the first 5 games for the Bruins, and he's looked very good. I mean, you need him to be a number one goalie, a very good goalie, if you want a chance to win, especially the way the playoffs are set up. You need a hot goalie in there. But, I mean, all the guys are playing well. Dougie Hamilton has 4 assists in his first 5 games as a rookie, and he's making some passes that a lot of defensemen in the league can't make with his patience. So I think, in expectations, I think this team can make another cup run. This is largely the same team as it was 2 years ago. You have Tuukka instead of Tim Thomas, which is the biggest difference. But now you have Sagan instead of Recchi. You have Hamilton instead of Tomas Kaberle, who was a headache in the playoffs.
Yeah, a little bit.
Chris Bourque is a question mark on that third line, but I feel like on the third line you can have a question mark. It's, do whatever you can, just don't lose us the game. But overall, I like what I see, and I think this team has high hopes going forward. And
back to Lucic. Lucic with Horton on the other side and Krejci in the middle is the scariest non-first line in the league, hands down. And
Horton's looked good too, coming off the concussion. He's taken hits, and he had a really nice goal last night.
Yeah, beautiful goal.
ESPN top 10. So, everyone's clicking right now, and certainly it's good to see because like we said, every game is just so important.
That's really what needs to be seen out of Horton and Lucic is going to the net, scoring tough goals but hitting too, and being a physical presence. Now, Tony, what are you seeing out of them?
I think the Bruins overall have the main thing they have is chemistry with their lines because they've been playing together for so long, which is a huge advantage against other teams, and their depth. They have the best fourth line in the league, arguably, with Thornton, Paille, and Campbell. They were even playing on penalty kills, playing great. They have they're 23 for 23 on penalty kill, 100% this year, which is great start, amazing start. They have more shorthanded goals than they've let up penalty goals. So that's an amazing stat for the Bruins so far. I mean, they do look like they could make another cup run from the way that they've played for the first 5 games, and the way that the team's set up. It looks like a team that's ready for success.
And they're a pretty young team. You got, you guys like Sagan out there, Dougie Hamilton. Got these young guys. So for a shortened season, they're still gonna fresh legs come playoff time. So this seems like a season that really could be built for these Bruins. And we mentioned Tuukka, but we saw a quick glimpse of Hudobin the other night and last night, excuse me. And he looked pretty good. Let up 3 goals, but he looked good for one of his first starts. Yep.
He was confident, which is
very confident.
As a goalie, not shaking. This is my first start of the year. I better play well. This is my first start of the year. I'm going to try to make a statement and hopefully get some more reps out of this.
And 2 goalies, as we saw when the Bruins made the Stanley Cup run, 2 goalies is very crucial for a team that wants to make a long run. So seen a lot of good things with the Bruins to start early in the season. So can only hope it continues. We can only talk about the Bruins for so long. I can sit here for an hour. But there's other stuff going on in the NHL as well too. Tony, what are some of the early headlines we've missed? While we've been gone.
Some of the big stories that have been going on is the San Jose Sharks. Marleau has had 4 consecutive games with 2 goals, which is amazing. And him and Thornton have been tearing it up. They're both top of the league with 13 points. So they've been helping the Sharks as much as they can, and the Sharks have been having a great record from it. So that's a big story. And then the other big story that just happened today was PK Subban got signed by the Canadiens for another 2 years, so that he'll be locked up. And he's one of the better offensive defensemen in the league, definitely. And he's going to be big for the Canadiens because it seemed like last year at least they were looking for that type of scoring. He was around last year, but at the same time they're going to need him to keep producing for them to keep winning.
I'm sure that's a guy Char will be excited to see on the ice. Chris, you got any early headlines for us?
Well, like you said, with the teams who have been around before playing well, there's 4 teams that haven't lost in regulation right now. Those are the Bruins, Devils, Blackhawks, and Sharks. The Blackhawks have been largely the same, especially their front line of Sharp, Kane, Taves, all those guys. They are stacked. And this year their goalie's playing well, Corey Crawford. So if he's playing well, they're going to be a very tough team to beat. The Sharks, like you said, they have 2 of the best players right now in Thornton and Marleau. A very good player in Logan Couture, who's very young. He was an all-star last year. The Devils obviously won the Eastern Conference, and they made it to the Cup. And we know about the Bruins here, how good of a team they are. So we're seeing it early that teams that are playing well are having more success. Teams that have gelled, they don't have to see who plays well with each other. They pretty much know the lines and go forward with that. And the Flyers, have been struggling this year. They're 2-4, and they just lost their heart and soul. Scott Hartnell out 4 to 6 weeks with a foot injury. That's a huge blow to them because he's the guy he's an instigator. He scores goals. He does everything for them. And their goalie, Ilya Bryzgalov, has allowed over 2 goals a game so far this year. So if you're struggling offensively and if your goalie's letting pucks in the net, it's really hard to win. And getting off to a slow start, 2-4 in a 48-game season, is really a killer. So if they want to make a run in the East, they have to start making things happen quick.
Yeah, you gotta take a close look. Usually at the beginning of the season, because it's usually a long season, you get off to good starts. Sometimes you just blow it off, and you can come back. 48-game season, you get off to a bad start, you're digging yourself a deep hole quick. And 2-4 for a team like Philly in a strong Eastern Conference, that's something they're going to struggle with. Well, guys, we could sit up here and talk for hours because we've missed so much this year, but we'll cut it off for there. We'll get back to it next week. But good to be back in the NHL. Chris, Tony, thanks for joining me. Stay tuned. We'll be back to finish up with UMass Athletics.